What's going on, everyone? It's Matab from the Saint Soldier Project. Welcome to episode 10, double digits, episode 10. Today we have an amazing guest, an expert in the industry of diet, of lifestyle, gut health, fiber, supplementation, all that good stuff. And specifically, she focuses on the South Asian community. So our people, our parents, stuff like that, who may need some help and helps with a scientific and an expert advice on this kind of things. We learned a lot. Please welcome Gurpreet. We're very excited to have her. And let's get into it. Gurpreet, you mentioned something that you find very important you want to clear the air about it right now.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between terms like dietitian, nutritionist, supplementation expert, the guy that works at the gym that can provide me supplement advice or diet advice? Break it down, make it clear so that there's no misconception or miscommunication from the professional, your guys' end.
Right. So anyone can have some sort of nutrition knowledge. We can all self-research and, self-educate ourselves. But registered dietitians, especially in the province of Ontario, when I emphasize that heavily because it varies province to province, we are a regulated body. So we have the Ontario College of Dietitians that regulates us and makes sure that we are providing safe and accurate and evidence-based nutrition information to our clients, patients, etc. Whereas, nutritionists are not a protected title. Nutrition coaches are not to say they can't give nutrition advice, but it's not
there is a difference.
Regulated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we as registered dietitians, because we're health, we can collaborate with other health professionals. So, I can work with your family doctor. I can work with your naturopath. I can work with your chiro, osteopath.
I think that's the key thing right there.
Yeah. So, we have that ability to do so. And at the end of the day, we're just making sure it's safe for you and your health.
So what kind of services is it that you provide? What got you into this world of health and I know that you want to talk a little bit about specifically helping the Indian Punjabi population and community. So just tell us a little bit about that high level and we can get into more detail.
Of course. And I think for myself, my passion with dietetics originally started with my grandpa, because I was very close growing up with him. He had diabetes, which we know a lot of, individuals have in the South Asian population. It's a very strong condition. It developed into him for congestive heart failure. Then it kind of, developed into kidney disease, right? So he had all these comorbidities. And the more I was growing up, the more I was learning about it and, how much changes he had to make into his diet as well. At that time, it was kind of an eye-opener. Food can actually help him manage all these conditions, the symptoms of it, right? So that's where my passion to kind of make a difference in his life started. And then when I learned that I could become a dietitian, what that title meant and, how I can study and become it, it was just this is it. This is what I want to do. And then also, in the South Asian community, these conditions are heavily predominant. So knowing that I may have a genetic link factor to it, I wanted to focus on preventative nutrition. So why not start young and learning about how food impacts and make those changes? So that's kind of where I started my journey and how I became what I became. Unfortunately, my grandpa didn't listen to my advice. He was just let it be. I like my food this way, But it's encouraged me to at least help others and educate them that it can be done. So that's kind of how I got in. And then to answer the second part to your question, what conditions do I see? What do I focus on? So it varies from time to time, but a lot of diabetes, heart disease, high cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, weight management, kidney disease, liver concerns are huge. And then I even do pediatric nutrition, so child, teenager needs, and then nutritional deficiency is a big one, right? So those are just some of many, but it's every day could just be different with what I work with.
What do you think is I know for myself, it was just maybe a bit of laziness and also a bit of I don't really need to get to the point where maybe I need to hire a dietitian or a nutritionist or anything like that. What do you think is the main cause that people don't actually end up, maybe cost is a big one, obviously, but besides that, what do you think is the main thing that people avoid doing this or avoid actually taking this part of their health seriously?
I think social media has played a big role in it. I think, again, you can Google this stuff really quickly, and now we have AI, so ChatGPT, which are all fine, like to get information and educate yourself on. But I think you need to kind of recognize, is this the right source and is this for you, right? It's hard to filter, everything's out online, and this is where like dietitians, who are different from nutritionists, and I do want to emphasize on that, like we are a regulatory body, especially in the province of Ontario, where we are expected to meet the scientific standards, so provide evidence-based nutrition information, and that's where we can do a full assessment, just tell you what's really for you and what's not. And if you're struggling with something, we help with behavioral changes, right? Because that's a huge part of nutrition is, I want to do this. This is what I want to achieve. How do I get there?
Behavior
Because
as in like manners, like not like behavior as in like personality traits and things like that.
no, behavior is more like your mindset,
Oh,
like
okay.
the motivational factor, being
Oh,
disciplined,
gotcha.
like, doing something too much, too soon, but not being able to maintain it. Right?
Like
Or
like
extreme
crash diets or
diets.
whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think that's like, we also have that training where we can do behavioral cognitive treatments or therapies with the clients, to kind of help them achieve that goal.
Interesting. So social media, I think, has played like a huge factor. I know, like with even like when it comes to like working out and things like that, like we'll research like okay, new workouts, most effective workouts. But when it comes to dieting, and especially now, it's too much information.
It's
I would
too
say
much, and like every other person's basically an expert and like a guru at like working out and becoming a diet expert. Like you go to like your family expert now, and these people are like, oh, I know what to do. Like try this diet, try the keto diet, right? And then it works for a bit, and then you know how keto diet works. Like it also, all that weight after you step out of ketosis comes back sometimes, right? So like these people are getting like quick results, and it's, I think what you do, and you can, that's why you're here, is to like give us the expert opinions. Like when, how do you maintain something for a long term? And I think what's your niche, I want you to like really explain that, which is like, we explain it to our parents and we explain it to a lot of people. Your niche, which is really cool, is you're focusing on the South Asian community and that kind of diet. So not just like the typical diet, like packages and stuff like that that people talk about, but how we have a good diet, but like we're not using it effectively.
and a lot of that comes from like a culture is a big aspect of it, where like our mom is not going to eat like chicken breast and broccoli and rice every single day, right? Even though it's very healthy, that's just, she's just not going to do it. She might do it for like 1 week or something, but it's just not part of her lifestyle in any way at all. So I almost, when I would give her like advice or tips on like how to eat healthier, I would say like, okay, you have to cut down on like certain Indian foods, maybe implement like more protein and stuff in your diet, stuff that I knew is good for you no matter what. But where you come in, specifically is to be like, fine, you understand the aspect that okay, she's not going to eat like steak and this and that, whatever. So how does that kind of, how do you tailor your advice in terms of to the South Asian community and specifically like our parents and things like that
How
who
are you adapting to taking a strong diet plan, which has like been given to us in like that basic picture since like grade 5, where like that,
like the food
like
scale or whatever,
the
right?
food triangle or whatever it's called, and like how are you turning that into something that's realistic for a lot of people in this country, which is like not everyone's eating chicken breast and rice, right? Like that's boring. It's just got like doesn't taste good 7 days a week. Like how do you make it practical for people like our parents, people like us, right? Who, even me, like when I want to eat healthy in the house, like I know that at lunch, like I have to eat with my family, or dinner I have to eat with my family. Like I can't meal prep every single meal. I know I got to eat with my family sometimes. So how
Like
can you
there's a bit
create?
of just like a lifestyle associated with it too, right? Like I used to do the thing where like the issue was talking, I used to like bring my own meal preps to the dinners, and you would just feel like you're not really partaking in like the family time, but you'd be eating healthy. And when I was younger, it's not like I saw a huge change in my physique because it was I ended up maybe eating unhealthy or whatever. But that's what I'm saying. So how, like, tell us how you tailor it towards the South Asian community specifically, and kind of whether it's like the cultural part of it or even the mindset part of helping out some people who may not believe in this, or may not even be willing to like, or even think that there is an issue in the first place.
Great question. So the way I tailor it, and I do have like a fair amount of South Asian clients to begin with, and it's usually tied with some sort of kind of condition that they're coming in for. Usually that's a spark. So it could be just something in their blood work, and that's kind of their way. And, most of them do say, like, oh, I have an Indian diet, and I know it's not healthy, but, what can I do? I need this to go away. Whatever it's, pre-diabetes, diabetes, my liver, my cholesterol, something's off, I need to go away. What do I do? So the way I see it is like you modify it, right? The Indian diet is pretty healthy. It's just about rearranging it. So kind of tying back to Tesher, what you said about the pyramid. I think that was years ago. But I think now we focus more on the Canada's food guide. So that's kind of like where I start with the client. So it's more like balancing, and it usually has like it divided into like a protein section, a grain section, and then a vegetable section, which I find is so universal to so many individuals, like not just a South Asian, but it's a good starting point because South Asian diets are pretty carb heavy, right? To begin with, we can all acknowledge that. So when it comes to like, assessing someone and how do we get you to eat better, or for whatever reason you want to make a difference in your diet, I usually see what's missing and then fill in the gaps from there. Right. So if your mom has a very low intake diet, like protein diet, for example, right, and she doesn't prefer it, what are proteins that she can eat and likes that we can add more because she probably could benefit from it for whatever reason, right? Protein is very important for muscle building. And sometimes I find that South Asians don't know that, right? Or they grew up talking about protein and muscle. It's more about what's the gym life nowadays. But even in an Indian diet, like our parents, like protein is just as important.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Like I think knowing the basics of macronutrients really helps. At least I emphasize that with my South Asian, clients, like learn those so you can understand the purpose behind them and how to fit them into your day-to-day
Especially
needs.
if like the Indian generally is a vegetarian based diet. So that's another thing, right? Like people, like the joke is that there's like everyone's like dal has so much protein.
Yeah.
When it's just not true, right? Like the amount of protein you need to get a good amount of protein when it comes to the quantity
serving
of dal
size.
is like enormous, right? It's just dal is really good for you,
Yeah.
but it's not a protein source. So like little things like that, where it's like not that they're just uneducated, but obviously also just like a lack of knowledge and maybe trying to push them to understand more or to help themselves understand what it is. Like they're not gonna, like I knew people that aunties would be like, okay, I have to have my bronte every morning. Like how am I gonna lose weight?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, I'll go to the gym like once 1 hour on the treadmill,
Yeah.
but it just won't work.
Yeah.
But then there's a difference between like losing weight, but also like health, like heart health and all that other stuff that you're dealing with, right?
I think a lot of it is a mentality shift rather than, because like you said, the Indian diet is actually not that bad. It's about rearranging it.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's absolutely true, because a lot of the times, like when I eat down, when I sit down to eat roti with like my family and stuff, they're just pushing the roti aspect, like tin fulke khala, char fulke khala,
Like eat to the full,
eat
Yeah.
more rotis. And I'm just like, now what I do is I eat maybe like 2 rotis, but I try to get as much sabji,
Yeah.
or as much as the sustenance that I can of the actual like vegetable,
The meal
whatever
that
it
you're
is,
having,
right?
Yeah.
So and because it's a mentality that if you eat more of this, you're getting more energy, you're getting more like takat, right? Like you're getting more of that
I
strength.
think that was back in the day when they were like on the farms. Like these guys could eat anything.
Yep.
Like even like gyo and stuff like that. And it was actually good for them because
Yep.
they were burning off so much calories.
Yeah.
But that same doesn't translate to our lifestyle now, because now we're like sitting all day, not really moving as much.
Yeah.
A lot of people in general are not working out as much, things like that, right? It's not
Yeah.
physical labor.
We've slowed down, but also like with the mentality shift comes that issue that you guys probably get so irked off, is like as dietitians that it's scientific based. It's like, yes, roti has carbs, but like it also has a ton of other stuff that's not good for you. And like if you're getting if you're having a sabji, right, like, or any type of vegetable curry or soup, like it also doesn't have any proteins whatsoever.
Most of the subsies are carb heavy too.
Right. And like they have like oils in it, they have ghee, right? And so there's nothing wrong with them. Like they are good for you. Like my lunches are quite healthy when I'm eating with my family, but it's also missing a whole aspect that you need to function for the rest of the day, right? And then like stuffing yourself to like you're full because you value the amount of rotis you eat. Like if you ate 3 rotis, you ate 4 rotis, okay, now you're good. But it's like if you just like dipping it in whatever it is. This is a specific Punjabi household diet. But I'm saying how are you pushing that scientific aspect? Because that's something that South Asian and like I guess immigrant families don't want to listen to, because they're like, oh, it doesn't matter, we know what works.
Like they know
Yeah.
that they know stuff works because of the experience or whatever. But when it comes to so like the science, like how do you do that?
So, from my point, I kind of try to always like understand the root cause. Like when, clients are coming in for change, like I want to eat healthy or I want to lose weight, but like you guys mentioned, I have all these strong cravings or, I'm binge eating like the whole day I'm fine or I'm fasting. It's all about understanding the science of it, right? So, why does your body have strong cravings, right? What are you doing or what's missing in your body for your body not to feel full and have the feeling of satiety, right? So that's usually tied to your hormones.
Can you explain what satiety is?
So satiety is the feeling of fullness, right?
Okay.
Which is linked to overeating. So when clients say like, I tend to overeat a lot, meaning you're not feeling full, right? So it's usually like your body is trying to crave like or sending you these signals. And why is that, right? Did you fast the whole day and now maybe you're feeling a little bit more relaxed, work is done, nothing on your mind, and now your body's like, we got to make up for lost time. Like you were up doing all this kind of stuff. We need some fuel and let's bring a lot of it. But maybe you're not working out after, maybe you're just going to knock out. Right? So it kind of, your body over time starts to accustom to that routine and pattern, and it has to adapt every single time. Right? And this is where like hormones also tied to age group. So what you did maybe, if you guys went to the gym or you guys are gym goers, what you guys probably did in your teen years and your 20-year-old like life may not work now or in your 30s or in your 40s, right? You're only going to have to work harder to see that difference. And that's due to body's physiological changes.
Can you explain like the kind of like connection between being full? I forgot the term you used, but like being
Satiety.
full, like satiety.
Yeah.
And like the bloating that I think a lot of people feel in our community.
Yeah, so it goes back to the comment where you meant like, parents are like, finish this or eat, char, panj, roti, whatever, right? It is just tied back to the mentality of back in the days, right? So I often tell my clients, hey, like what worked for you over there is no longer going to work for you here because you're more stressed. When you're more stressed, you're naturally going to be more inflamed. And when you're eating a lot of carbs or heavier meals, that takes a lot of, time and energy for your gut to digest, and that's where these symptoms can manifest: bloating, gas, discomfort, heartburn, which is very common in our South Asian community clients, right? So it's about, again, understanding why we do that. So if it's stress, manage your stress or find ways to navigate that. If we're kind of fasting, maybe we should have a different approach on that. Maybe get some food in earlier so your body's not feeling all this hunger, or what we say hangry kind of. It does exist, right? Because it's a mix of hormones and stress and all these kind of feelings which makes you want to stuff your mouth.
What's like the general connection between like stress, like high, like if you have a job, relationship, personal life, finances, whatever, like what's the relationship between stress and like just, I'll call it like general unhealthy eating or overeating or whatever, like what's that kind of, because I think that's probably something that people take away from this
BED, right?
Yeah.
Like what causes binge eating disorder?
Like eating to the point that you're feeling really, really full.
Sure. Yeah, like you're binging it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would how stress would tie into that. I would say stress would increase your cortisol hormone. So that's our body's natural stress hormone. And when we're super duper stressed, our bodies can go kind of to flight or fight, even though it may just be like, not something that we're running away from. We're not in physical danger, but our bodies are kind of like working or navigating. What is this? What's going on? Some of my clients, their appetite truly shuts off. So they lose the ability or desire to eat. They will just go hours without eating anything. And some clients dive into food, like they stress eat. So the minute they feel a level of stress, they cannot stop. And that ties into a behavior, like they need something to distract them from feeling what they're feeling, right? So in that case, maybe navigating or understanding why you're feeling stressed would be a good place to start to navigate those diet changes.
Is it like a comfort thing, like they just go to food or whatever?
Yeah. And then that can later develop to emotional eating as well, right? And then, we eat for our feelings. So when we talk about hunger as well, there's 3 types of hunger. So there's mouth hunger, heart hunger, and then stomach hunger, right? So stomach hunger is when you're actually hungry, your stomach growls. And then we have mouth hunger. I usually explain that when like you're walking towards, like, for example, in the mall, we walk through Cinnabon and you smell it and you're like, oh my God, like I could totally use that right now. Like maybe you just already had dinner, right? Or lunch, but now that stimulated some hunger, right? So recognizing that. Or the example is when you go to the movies, you smell popcorn and you had dinner, you're still going to have some popcorn.
Yeah. It's like, it's like, I just want it.
Yeah.
Your eyes are
just
hungry.
for the sake of it. Exactly.
I was
and
not
then
hungry last night.
and then lastly, it would be heart hunger when you're eating for your emotions. So you're sad, you want to dive into your comfort food. You're super happy, you want to treat yourself, right? You did something really good, again, treating yourself. So it all kind of depends on understanding that root cause, and that can help you navigate on how can I manage this hunger the best, like, you know. So that's one area of it. But adding to the satiety topic, we also have another hormone called leptin, which is our fullness hormone. So that ties into binge eating, because if it's not coming up, people do develop leptin resistance. So that's the hormone to tell us, oh, we're full, let's stop. But if that's being resistance, then it's hard for that to come up and tell you to stop. So then we're kind of just overeating.
So how can you exercise that hormone? Like, how does it get tuned so that we know? Because I'm sure it's related to metabolism, right? As well.
Is it like something that just like vanishes as you get worse and worse, and then like, yeah, how do you bring it back? How do you control it?
Yeah, so I can't say, like, there's no way that I would know that that's 100% always the case for someone. Like, hey, you can't, you're having a hard time, you know, overeating, it's leptin resistance. Like, I can't say that to someone.
Yeah, it's not conclusive like that.
Yeah, but it does exist, and we do focus on it. And the way I do is resetting someone's kind of routine and structure. So I emphasize on the start of the day, like your first meal of the day or what you do in the morning is a good place to start for, like, you know, how your day and how your bodies are going to function the rest of the day, right? It goes back to the basics. Breakfast is very important, right? So whether, like, the timings could be discussed differently depending on someone's goal, but your first meal truly is very important.
I actually have a really, like, you just perfectly segued into
Yeah.
my, like, next kind of a thought topic that I was having, which
Awesome.
is, so let's say we take like a 30-year-old average build kind of person, and I want you to kind of walk me through like the ideal, not ideal, but like a realistic South Asian kind of diet that I can use tomorrow, or Matab can use tomorrow, or someone listening can use and try it out and see, okay, like, because some people, like, I wake up in the morning sometimes and I'm like, I don't know what to eat. I'm just going to eat something, right? Because I'm very bad in the mornings. Like, I usually don't even eat till 4 p.m., right? And that's just like what my body likes, but I don't know if that's what my body is. It's good for my body.
Should be doing.
Right? I don't know if it's something I should be doing. I just, like, if I'm working, I forget about eating, and then I just eat at 4. And so but again, I've talked about my routine. Like, I'm a weird case. Like, my metabolism is in favor of me right now. But walk me through like what a 30-year-old can do, because that's what a lot of our audience is, and like, you know, what some options of what they
Like
can
high
have.
level, like super. It's kind of like, even if it's just like the very basics, like start with high protein meal, like something like that. Like what's that advice you would give?
Walk us through like a breakfast, a lunch, if you should have a smoothie, if you go to the gym, and then what you'd have for dinner and what time these should be. I know it's a loaded question, but take it like slow, but like take it like a meal by meal.
Yeah.
And parts of the day.
So, like, when I do that kind of part where I'm getting to the education part of my assessments, like, there's like a lot of factors to consider to be generic, very generic here. Again,
this
is very generalized. But I would usually say, like, again, if just for a healthy individual, just to kind of maintain their goal or, you know, change physique or eat healthier, I would say when you wake up within the first 2 hours is a good place to have your first meal. So make that your goal, right? So if you're waking up at, I don't know, 6 to 8, kind of get your breakfast going, get your routine in. And then I would always tie it back to Canada's Food Guide, which you guys can feel free to Google. It'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. But a quarter of the plate focuses on protein, and then a quarter of the plate focuses on grains, and then half the plate is fruits and vegetables. So you can fill in the gap. So this is where you have the autonomy of your preference. So if you really you're an eggs person, then by all means get some eggs on that plate. That's your protein section. And then pair it with whatever you want. You want to pair it with toast, you can do 1 sourdough toast. You feel like a larger appetite, we can do 2. Or we can swap it with a fruit on the side or add veggies to your omelet. Again,
you said something really interesting. What are your thoughts on fruits in the morning? Because I'm a big fruits guy in the morning, because for me it's light, but a lot of people say it spikes your insulin, and then it's not a ideal thing to have. I love it, but people have told me otherwise. It works for me. What do you have to say?
So, okay, insulin spiking is a huge topic on its own. Like, I think social media has kind of talked so much, and there's so much mixed information online. Like, it's such a deeper conversation than it is.
There's
like,
also with like oatmeal, that's another.
yes,
it's not just
so
fruits.
it's so confusing for so many people. Like, let me, like, if I can maybe make it really basic, but carbs when we eat carbs, any carbs, so fruits, vegetables, bread, grains, anything, our body's natural job is to make insulin and bring it down. In a normal, healthy individual, your body is very good at bringing it down. So Teshvir, if you're just having fruits in the morning, your body should be able to regulate it down unless there is any other medical condition or genetic factor that would inhibit it. Not so. Right? And usually the sign of insulin resistance comes on, like, again, genetic factors or those who have like really poor eating habits, right? And inactive lifestyle. They might show signs of that. But a normal healthy individual who's active, eats pretty, home cooked meals or like, just a variety of a diet, that's not going to be a problem. So if you wake up and just eat fruits, not a problem. Like, yeah, your body should be able to normalize and bring the blood sugars down. That's what our bodies are made to do. However, could you add some protein to it to give you more satiety? Sure, why not? Right? Could you make it a little bit larger if you wanted to, so that you have so that can last you a little bit longer, give your body that energy and nourishment that it needs for the next few hours? Sure, why not?
Because they do recommend generally your meals should get smaller as the day goes on, right? Because your body's using less energy. And so with the fruits, I've always loved it because I get queasy in the morning. Like I don't like to eat too heavy, especially like I've always loved to eat eggs, but it makes me feel, and I think a lot of people said this, like morning, the eggs, they kind of like, they give you a stomach ache, even coffee, right? It gives you a stomach ache. So I've been doing fruits, and then people were like, dude, this is bad for you. And I'm like, I'm good at listening to my body. And so I try to listen to it as much as I can, but I was told not to. And then now what you're saying, it's kind of like reaffirming my belief, and I want to kind of continue this, but I think maybe adding some carbs into there, right? So give me that energy for the rest of the day.
Yeah. Or like if you're the individual that has trouble or, having a larger meal in the beginning, like you can just have smaller meals more frequently throughout the day to make sure at the end of the day you're meeting your nutritional needs, right? Because the last thing we want to do is make sure under eating, right? That we just eat small and we just stick small throughout the whole day and we're not getting enough nutrients, right? So for that, like one example could just be adding some almonds to the side.
Interesting.
Like some sort of nuts and healthy fats and protein, like that's
dense carbs.
Yeah,
right?
like it could just be simple as that.
And like and I also think like that's a very like, I don't want to say use the word primal, but like eating carb heavy in the morning is like for people that are doing work that's going to require energy, right? Because energy is consumed by or carbs are being converted into the energy, right? But I'm not, like, most people are going to 9 to 5 work, right? And they're sitting there and they're not using that energy, and when it reserves, it becomes fat. So I'm correct on that, right? And so the evening is when I'm usually like more active. I'm walking back and I'm from work and I'm going to the gym. So it's like I would want my lunch to kind of provide that carb energy for me to kind of fuel that. Otherwise, like I just feel like I get tired from that energy reserve that I've ate in the morning. Am I right on that?
I would say I would have to learn more about your body and like dive deeper into like what your lifestyle is, more of like your symptoms, like your hunger cues. Like, when do you feel hungry? Dive into that. If you feel nauseous, like how long has that been going on, right? But I think to answer that question, like carbs, like everyone has different carb needs, right? So it's hard to say how much your body would need, but it goes back to what you just said, listening to my own body. Like the biggest difference that you can make in your health choices and knowing what your body needs and responding to that versus just like this worked for him or her, now I'm going to follow the same, but wait a minute, now I'm not seeing the results, or you know what, no, it's put me in a worse position than I was before, like I'm hungry all the time, like I don't like this. So it's like, is it for you though? Right? Yeah, it's and I think if you find that works better for you, and maybe you're attaining your physique goal, or you feel full and content with your pattern, then I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. These tips are like these tips for the general audience is like, even for me, like somebody who's like, I would say I've eaten relatively healthy for a while and I've worked out for such a long time. Even when it goes to going back to the basics, there's still good tips, because for such a long time, I stopped eating like a proper breakfast.
Yeah.
Like, let's say just a good protein, high breakfast or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just got into the routine of that. And then something so basic that I needed to get back into. So even like giving these very high level tips, I know you don't want to get too specific into it. Obviously, it makes sense, right? There's so many factors and stuff that gets involved. Like it's super unique. But they're still very helpful, even to someone like me, and I need they should excel because they're still good tips no matter what it is, right?
Yeah.
Because of course, like I mean, I'm asking you a question. You know, there's me and Matab are speaking about us. Like, I mean, you can't. I know it's pinching you because you're like, I need to know more about you guys. I
Yeah,
need to
the
know
last thing you want to
Yeah.
do is give
But-
like advice.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly.
I'm
No,
asking you
100%.
very high level questions
Yeah.
with kind of giving you an understanding of so that it's applicable to so people can at least try tomorrow, right? So if people are out there like, oh, I've been doing fruits because I know a lot of people think this way that fruits are bad for you in the morning. You should have a small amount of fruits in the middle of the day, right? Or like the 5-6 where like and it's like maybe not. Like I think I like it because it keeps my body like light.
But
Yeah.
And I'm
people,
not
if
using that
someone is
energy.
like, "Yo, fruits are not good for you in the morning," I'm just gonna assume here, like super make it generic. They're probably not eating enough fruits in the day to begin with.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you're getting too specific, and this is like what you almost taught me too, right? It's like they're getting too specific.
Yeah.
Like don't have fruits at like 9 a.m. Have it at 12:30
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
It's like this is too specific. Like fruits are good for you regardless. So a start is to have them if you want them in the morning. That's a good start.
Yeah.
always
Then you
tell-
can get into the details.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I try to tell Matab like the one thing he was talking about is like one thing I'm a very firm believer on, and like again I have like I guess I'm kind of luckier than other people like where my body's kind of easy to work with, but if you make your diet so painfully specific, you're just gonna hate diet, and you're gonna create an unhealthy relationship with food, and then you're just gonna like I'm not afraid to have an extra coffee or an extra meal because like I enjoy eating. It brings me happiness. Yes, I know people are in certain circumstances, but creating that where you're seasoning your food and then like you're like, no, I can't add seasoning because, I know has sodium in it. And then your food tastes bad and then you don't eat it tomorrow, right? And so that's like
There's
where
like a
I
balance
think
there.
It's a
Yeah.
balance. Like make your food taste good so that you can as long it's still home cooked, right? You're
Yeah.
better than going out and eating
Yeah.
processed food. You're making something at home, like you're getting there, right?
Yeah.
And so those things are really important.
It's like steps in the right direction.
Yeah. Anyways, I don't want to get off track, but you said that okay. So in the morning, you want to hit those 3 food groups,
Yeah.
right? You want to have a nice balanced kind of protein to grain to vegetables.
Yeah.
In the morning, and then fruits are also like good if you're not super insulin resistant.
Yeah.
Right. Can we move on to like when should the person or this person that I've explained, the 30-year-old in a South Asian household, when should he or she be having his or her second meal, and like what should it be containing?
Yeah, good question. So again, just gonna reiterate, started off with a balanced breakfast within 2 hours. I usually say if the meal is balanced well enough, give yourself a 4-hour gap. So it takes about an average about 2 hours to digest the meal anyways, right? So after that, like you can give yourself another 2 hours of your digestive system a total break, right? And then in that frame, like if you're having a desk job or you can get up and move, that just only helps you digest and regulate your body better. And then I would say 4 hours from there, whether, I would go straight into lunch or recommend the person to go into lunch. But sometimes I know, like you said, some meals are with family. So it really depends on where he or she finds that is best for her. But let's say we do lunch, again, same concept, right? And if you're feeling a little bit more hungry, then I would say maybe let's increase a little bit more protein, right? Maybe you just need something to hold you off longer this time, right? Because you want to be able to concentrate at work as well. You don't want to sit there and feeling hungry all the time, right? And again, quarter of the plate is just a place to start. And that can vary very differently from an individual to an individual. Like if your body requires more protein, which men's usually does over women, maybe you should be going more than quarter of the plate, right? And that can be more personalized in a session. Like how much is my protein intake? But again, you can use resources online as well. But again, I would focus on that and emphasize maybe on more protein. Then from there, if he finds that, he's feeling a little hungry-ish 3-4 hours later, again, if dinner is something that's going to be a while later, then I would say have a snack, right? Like use it could be a small amount of carb and a small amount of protein. So I like that carb to protein pairing always at snack time. I find it's a really good balance, and it's a way for your body to get a little bit more protein in.
You kind of ran through lunch, right? It's a similar thing with men trying to increase that protein, right? Almost double it from a quarter to half the plate. And, just run me through the lunch real quick again. And then can you head into dinner and like how we can make that practical?
Okay. So, again, balancing the lunch, I would say focus on that protein concept, possibly increase it more if you feel like, you're feeling a little bit more hungry. just to sustain you till a little bit longer till your next meal, which could be, again, directly just dinner. So you could just follow, you can be an individual, follow just 3 meals a day. But if you find that you're feeling a little hungry, dinner is something that you have a little bit later, then maybe include a little snack. I think the best snacks are usually with a little bit of carbohydrate and paired with a protein. So it's like best of both worlds. So you get that little refueling that your body needs at that time. And then you have that little protein intake coming in to help you kind of hold off that hunger and give you that fullness factor that you're looking for. An example could just be simple as like an apple with some almonds, right? Greek yogurt and fruit. Simple as that. And then again, from there, I would say time your dinner to be about 3-4 hours later. And again, balance the same thing. Maybe at this point, if you're not as hungry, like Tasha, back to what you said, maybe it doesn't have to be a heavier meal. So maybe you can, same balance it out, but eat a little bit lesser, right? So that could be, again, a personal preference, but you also have to tune into your body and say, like, what does my body read now? Like, am I super hungry? Like, what's the point of me eating too little if, like, an hour later I'm still going to start feeling hungry again, which may lead to binge eating. Like, now I can't stop in the
Now
comfort
you're like
of
in the
my
dessert
home.
territory.
Yeah, and that's where you want finger foods, right? Like, it's just grab and go, right? So if that's your behavior, then consider adding more protein.
I wanted to kind of move the questions over to, you were kind of discussing about, like, behavior, right? And so what do you think are like big things in behavior and how you can get people to sit there in front of you and listen to you, even though they have a mindset fixed already in what they want to do, and they're going to go back home and do the same things that they already do in terms of their diet?
Like, they may know it's good for you. Generally, people, I think, understand that much, but it's like actually implementing it or really actually just doing that change, right? Having that change in your life.
Yeah, so change is something kind of like, I can't expect them to change. And even whether they hear from their health practitioner, their doctor said like, hey, go see a dietitian. I think you need to make, some diet changes because etc. Or like your blood values, they're not looking good. Go make a difference, right? So the most thing I can do is make sure you understand why that's happened in the first place. So coming in from a place of education, hopefully that will evoke some sort of thought process like, oh, I didn't know it was because of this. So creating awareness around their behavior, right? And then helping them find the root cause. Maybe it's not what they're coming in for. For example, maybe they think, oh, I'm going to cut out all carbs because like, I have diabetes, or yeah, carbs are bad. I have pre-diabetes, I completely cut out carbs, but now I have binge eating problem. So it's like, why did we need to do that in the first place, right? Like, what is diabetes? What does it even stem from, right? So the educational awareness part and, setting yourself to make change in a way where there's less barriers. So when I give the client kind of like a plan, like this is what I think step 1 should be, which is like very minimal, I always ask them the question back, like, do you see any barriers or challenges in your life to achieve this goal? It gives them time to sit and reflect, like, okay, maybe, hey, that's not feasible because I have dinner with my family at 9 p.m. and you're telling me here have earlier. So then again, let's adjust that goal. So it's a conversation between me and them, right? More so me sitting here telling you, you have to do X, Y, Z. Then you go home and back like, I don't like it. And then you're not going to follow it. Yeah. Or you follow it for 1 week and then you're just like, like it wasn't really fitting for me.
Or maybe it's like you followed it for 1 week and you didn't see those instant results, and then you get discouraged.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're like,
I think that's a big thing that you're bringing up, because like a lot of diet is not, you're not going to notice it within even like a month, right?
No.
Like it has to become something that you are invested in, which is what I think like change falls into, but also listening to your body, right? Because like you need to create something that is not a temporary plan, because it's going to like, smack you right back in the face, whatever, a month or 2 months later, where you're like, oh, I'm not like a model right now. It's like, well, yeah, like, what did you expect, right? It's a slow change. Like working out takes years, right? Changing your diet takes years, because you have to, like, the people that have a really good diet, they're not waking up every day and like, screaming in the mirror like, oh, I hate doing this. No, they're like, this is what I eat. They don't prefer to eat chips because their taste buds have changed.
Yep.
Because they know, like, I know people that like literally they won't even touch sugar because like their mouth has just adapted to like how it becomes sweeter for them, right? Sweet things become extra sweet for them because they just haven't ate them in so long.
It's also like products get promoted out there. There's so many products we know where it's like like eat this and this will happen. It's like take this powder.
Quick fix.
Quick fix, right?
Quick fix.
And like it's very attractive, and I've done that too in the past, where like I've like our good family cousin used to own a supplement store, so we get supplements for cheap, right? And we get like all the supplements that you could imagine, and things like fat loss pills and
Yeah.
whatever stuff like that, right? Or insulin pills, anything like that, where it's just like take this pill and you'll be good, right? Or the joke is like the moms, they always on the WhatsApp, and they're like mix a little bit of nimbu with a little bit of this, a little bit of that, eat it first thing in the morning, and you'll be good, you know?
Yeah.
But those are quick fixes. They're attractive fixes because like, you know, you don't have to do no work, right? It's like the easiest thing. And then you waste your money. You probably end up more damaging your health with these pills, right?
But they're ghost goals because like now you almost think it won't work, right? When it actually was, it was just a matter of time or a matter of a combination of things because like people tell you, oh, like increase your protein and you'll get like you'll start building muscle. Well, it's like you have to start working out as well and you start doing a combination of things. But then also if you did that for 2 weeks and you don't see results, your mind almost says, okay, protein doesn't work, right? And then you build this like kind of a friction between you and that thing you were trying, which you should have kept trying it, and you should have known that it's not about getting to that goal, it's about changing your lifestyle more, right? So how have you like talk about, I don't know if you can talk about not specific clients, but talk about how this happens at your your workplace and what you do, where you see this kind of thing that, hey, people are coming and they're expecting A and they get something else because they're not following what's up here, right? Because like I think everybody's heard it's like anybody can lift weights, but the hardest one is to put what's like on the plate, right?
Like how do you control their expectations of like wanting something quick or whatever it is? Yeah.
So I think everything you guys said is pretty accurate, where like quick fixes are very in trend right now. Like, I have a goal, I need to lose X amount of weight, or I'm feeling this, I'm just going to stop eating so I don't feel this because I have this event to go to. So it kind of, I usually tie it back to kind of like why they want it. So asking them the deeper questions like weight loss. Why is it so important for you to lose weight, right? It's about them figuring it out on their own, kind of like, why is it important? Is it because I don't love the way I look, right? Is it because someone made a comment and now I don't know how I feel about it? Or is it because someone, like, I ate something and I feel like I gained 10 pounds? Even though that may or may not be true, but I feel it. So it's about, dissecting why the whys are there. And I think to add to that, usually if they say like, oh, they have unrealistic expectations, I will be very transparent with my clients. Like, if that's what you're expecting, I cannot guarantee you that because I don't know how your body's wired. And I always focus on the root cause. Like, you gained weight, why? Were you doing extreme diets? Were you binge eating? Were you being inactive? Did you change your job from, a physically active job and now you have a desk job, right? Like, what changes occurred for that to happen in the first place? Does that mean we have to start cutting out food groups here for you to achieve your goal, right? And then I also say your body didn't turn like this overnight. So you cannot expect these changes to show the result that you're looking for overnight.
It's just like one unhealthy meal is not going to kill you, and like one healthy meal is not going to fix you either.
And
right?
it's about giving yourself, allowing yourself to not let one meal define who you are. If you're on the path to make changes in your body or your health, right? It's about, how do I incorporate that? And it goes very specifically into how our bodies really love to be in a state of balance. Homeostasis, which is just our body's ability to regulate our blood pressure. Sorry, our like temperature, right? And same way, our diet, if it's balanced and we're eating pretty regular and we're consistent with it, and you're pairing it up with healthy lifestyle changes, you're moving more, right? Maybe you're going to the gym more, or it doesn't have to be every day, but a few times a week. That's more than before. There's no way you won't see your results, right? And then it's also, making sure that you're staying on top of your blood work. Like, I do emphasize getting your blood work done. There's so many answers to the whys right there sometimes, right?
Can you give us examples, actually?
Yeah. So certain things that I usually look for are iron levels, your B12, thyroid is a big one in our community, like your blood sugar. So that's your A1C, which usually is the tool to diagnose for diabetes. So where's that number sitting at? There's categories, right? There's an at-risk category, there's a pre-diabetes, and then diabetes. So our bodies don't just jump like from one number to diabetes, in a few months. There's usually going to be a trend, right? So if you can have that conversation with your health practitioner, or, you know, someone else that can help you dissect those numbers, or, you know, kind of see where your body's at, can help you kind of identify those goals and modify them to your need. Right? For example, two individuals, one is a higher risk of diabetes, the other one's just fine, normal range. Maybe the one at high risk might want to focus on their carb intake a little bit more than the other individual. Why? Because they're at a higher risk of developing a chronic condition. Right? So it's about kind of recognizing where you stand and how much change do I need to make right now to achieve my goal.
That's good that you answered that. I was going to ask you eventually for measurables, or like what are things that you as a dietitian do to not just like gauge at their habits and gauge at what they're eating, but like definitive like measurables and things that you can actually like, you know,
like quantify,
yeah, right?
Or just
and,
like pinpoint.
Yeah.
And use, because like that's what somebody like I like, right? Actually, Matab is the kind of guy who likes that kind of stuff, right? Like he wants data, right? And it's like, what is the data showing? Yes, like not everything can be captured in data, right? But what is being shown there that's like definitive. So that's really cool that you can extract all of that from a blood report. And which are the figures to kind of look at.
And that's the actual kind of only way to really know, right? At the end of the day, like, to actually find out.
And you know, working as a dietitian, where like a lot of clients, especially in Ontario as well, like don't have family doctors, you know, at least I think where I can add value to those clients is directing them for what to look for. Like you're coming in with chronic fatigue, weight gain, why? And your goal is, I want to lose weight. But if we cannot address the fatigue or, you know, what's missing, and I don't get data, like you guys said, like how am I supposed to answer that right away, right?
I think as a lifestyle thing, that's what becomes like, just like another, like people are like, I got to get my blood work done. Now I got to figure out why am I tired all the time? Now I got to do this. But it all stems back to like the basic things, like food or to lifestyle or whatever. But it's like pain in the ass to just go and do these things, right? Right? It's another level of busyness, another task that people have to go through. But obviously it is important. But lifestyle kind of gets in the way, and I'll speak for myself, right? You just sometimes you get lazy. And you just don't go for your check-ins or whatever it is, things like that, right? Which end up being for bigger problems.
I mean, I prioritize them a lot. Like I do prioritize annual blood works. I emphasize, I encourage, you know, at any age group, go get it done. Like you can, again, if any younger generation out here listening is focusing on preventative nutrition, especially in the South Asian community, we could prevent a lot for cholesterol, diabetes, liver. You know, you can look at your thyroid early as well, right? Iron deficiencies are big. B12 deficiency are big. Low vitamin D is huge in our community, which is tied to mental health.
Just even in Canada, right? Like,
I
I think there's like, I'm not even going to throw stats out there because I don't remember what the current data shows, but like a very, very significant amount of people in Southern Ontario and honestly most of Canada don't get enough vitamin D, right? Which is like why we're all hooked onto these, I don't want to say hooked, it's you need it, but the pills, right? We need to take vitamin D pills. Whereas like in some parts of the country, like, or some parts of the world, like you genuinely don't need to take vitamin D. And it's a huge factor on your energy. And I think it plays a huge role. Everybody thinks vitamin D is just like sun energy, but it's so much more than that.
It's like hair loss, fatigue, mental health.
And it's huge in mental health, but it's very huge in gut health. And digestive concerns are huge in our South Asian community, which I think they just brush off. Like, you know, at least from my parents, I know it was like, I have this, you know, this problem, gas or heartburn. I'm just taking this pill and that's it. But why is that stemming there in the first place, right? And it ties back to larger portions, eating late at night, right? And suffering with symptoms. If that symptom's not making you feel good, then why are we choosing to put ourselves through that every single time? And then there are always consequences to that, right?
Actually, you brought up like my favorite topic.
I'm
really excited to talk about the gut health topic, and I think like
whoa, can I ask you guys to stop right there? Okay, I think that's a great topic for next time, but I really think we should let them digest the content for today. Right? Like there's so much in gut health that we can go to, so we can dive into inflammation, you know, fiber, you know, symptoms that you guys are experiencing, and any other questions that you guys may have about your body and how it functions and, you know, how we digest stuff. Drop it in the comments below and we'll try to see if we can get into the next session.
Definitely. We'll do another part of this.
So as you guys heard from Gurpreet, she's going to tackle all these questions in the next episode. We're going to have her back on talking about gut health, inflammation, fiber, intermittent fasting, a lot of these topics that, you know, people are asking. And please leave comments, as we've suggested.
We'll go through all of them. We'll actually like do something where we read them off and we kind of address them, so we know exactly what you guys want to know, and then we'll just go from there. And
Yeah, ask your parents if they have any questions, and yeah, we'll actually kind of read them off and just get your honest and honest, open opinion on these kinds of things. And yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. This has been episode 10 of the Saint Soldier Project. As always, catch us on every social media platform, every podcasting platform, and we'll catch you guys on the next time.